When we think about human history, we often picture these grand epics, right? Stories written in stone and steel. But the very first pages, the ones that started it all, they were written in something much simpler: mud and wheat. Today, we're going to uncover one of those first pages. It's the story of Mehrgarh, a place that 9,000 years ago quietly laid the groundwork for one of the world's great ancient civilizations. I mean, think about it for a second. How do you build a civilization from absolute scratch? We see the end results, the pyramids, the empires, the huge cities, but every single one of them had to start somewhere. They all began with a single, really revolutionary choice. And that was it. That was the idea, to just stop. Stop chasing your food and start growing it. Stop wandering across the landscape and start building a home. This is the story of the Neolithic Revolution, and Mehrgarh is one of its earliest and honestly most incredible examples. But here's the crazy part. For thousands of years, this entire story was completely lost to time, buried, forgotten. It took a dedicated team of archaeologists in our own time to find the first thread and start pulling, revealing a world that nobody even knew existed. So, picture this. It's 1974. A French archaeological mission, led by Jean-François and Catherine Jarige, is out exploring the Kachi Plain in modern-day Pakistan. And there, right at the foot of the Bolan Pass, which has been like a highway for humanity for millennia, they find something that would totally change our understanding of South Asian history. And this is exactly why it was such a big deal. You see, the great Indus Valley civilization, with its massive, sophisticated cities like Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, it kind of seemed to appear out of thin air. There was no clear local ancestor. Well, Mehrgarh was the missing link. It was the prequel, the origin story, that showed the long, slow, and brilliant development that led to those amazing cities. So this is what they found. Not just a small village, but a continuous story of human settlement stretching over 4,500 years. That is an incredible length of time. It's a place that witnessed the entire journey, all the way from the very first experiments with farming to the dawn of city life. So let's zoom in on the people themselves. I mean, how did this massive change in lifestyle actually work? Who were these pioneers, and what was their world really like? For literally countless generations, human life had been defined by movement. You followed the herds, you followed the seasons. But here, in this place, people made a different choice. A choice for stability. They basically traded the uncertainty of the hunt for the demanding, but ultimately rewarding rhythm of the harvest. It was a complete reimagining of what it even meant to be human. And what's so remarkable is how complete their agricultural setup was. This wasn't just dabbling. They were cultivating hardy grains like six-row barley and early types of wheat. They were herding cattle, sheep, and goats for meat, milk, and wool. And, this is crucial, they built granaries to store their extra food. This wasn't just about surviving day to day. This was planning for the future. And you can see that commitment to staying put in their houses. I mean, you don't build a multi-room mud brick house, some with up to 4 different sections, if you're planning on leaving next season. This was architecture of permanence. This was the foundation of a real village. Okay, and just when you think you've got a handle on their lives, archaeology throws you an absolute curveball. Get this. In a Neolithic graveyard, researchers found 11 drilled molar crowns on 9 different adults. This is the earliest known evidence of dentistry practiced on a living person. It shows an unbelievable level of skill and a real concern for long-term health, completely flipping our ideas about primitive life on their head. Once you don't have to spend every single waking moment just finding your next meal, you suddenly have something new. Time. Time to think, time to create, time to innovate. And at Mehrgarh, that newfound time led to an absolute explosion of technology and art. You can literally see their skills evolving over time. Simple pottery gives way to wheel-thrown ceramics with these beautiful, complex designs. They create these fascinating terracotta figurines, mostly female, with really elaborate hairstyles. They even figure out glazing to make faience beads, kind of like an early glassy ceramic. And then they master metal. They learn to smelt copper and even invent the lost wax technique, a method we still use today, to create a 6,000-year-old amulet. Just amazing. And don't think for a second that they were isolated. Their location right near the Bolan Pass made them a natural crossroads. Archaeologists have found beads made of lapis lazuli, a stone that could only have come from what is now northern Afghanistan. They found seashells that had to travel hundreds of miles from the coast. This was a connected community, a hub for exchanging goods and, more importantly, ideas. So, what does this all add up to? You've got farming, you've got innovation, you've got trade. What's the bigger picture here? Well, it all adds up to a legacy that would echo through the entire subcontinent for thousands of years to come. After more than 4 millennia of continuous life, things at Mehrgarh started to slow down. But the story doesn't end here. It's not a sad ending. The people didn't just vanish. They, and all their knowledge, moved on. They were contributing to a new, even grander project that was just beginning to rise in the Indus River Valley. The path from village to city is crystal clear when you look at it like this. Mehrgarh was the long, steady foundation. The Indus Valley civilization, with its massive, highly organized cities, was the skyscraper built right on top of that foundation. The farming techniques, the craft skills, the trade networks, all these things perfected at Mehrgarh were the essential building blocks for cities like Harappa. The renowned Pakistani archaeologist Ahmad Hassan Dani put it best. Mehrgarh gave the Indus civilization a history, a deep, local root system. It proved that one of the world's great urban cultures wasn't an import from somewhere else. It was homegrown, developed over thousands of years right there in the region. So in the end, Mehrgarh wasn't just a village, it was more like a laboratory for civilization. It was the place where the fundamental questions of settled life were answered, where problems were solved, and where a cultural toolkit was assembled that would be used to build an entire civilization. The people of Mehrgarh made a choice for the future. They invested their time and energy into ideas and technologies that would outlive them by thousands of years. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What are the seeds that we're planting right now? What are the foundations we're building today that might just shape the world 9,000 years from now?